Up, real estate property investors. I have the opportunity today to interview Nate Tew, the CEO of Key Renter Property Management, which is a national property management company with franchises all over the country. And Nate has a unique perspective on what's going on in the investment real estate space because he's got such a high level view with all of his franchisees and all of their tenants nationally and all their business owners and property owners nationally. We have an in-depth discussion about what's going on now, what the future holds for investment real estate. And we spend a little time at the end really diving into AI and how they're using it to advance the property management business, how to deliver a better customer experience, and what Nate thinks is the uses for AI in the future and how transformative it's going to be for investors. Stay tuned. Hey, welcome listeners. Today I have the distinct honor and privilege of having a return guest on the show today. Nate Tew has become a great friend. He's got a super successful business based out of Utah, one of my favorite places in the earth. Love to go ski out there. The Key Renter franchise, Key Renter Property Management is the actual business. And they franchise that model. And I've got Nate Tew, the CEO of that organization on. So Nate, welcome to the show today.
Paul, it's great to be here with you again. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. I know first time we spent some time together, we focused a little bit more on sort of your evolution and the idea of moving from a business to a franchise, and then now franchising the model out and some of the thoughts and processes and successes there. And fast forward now, I'd really want to focus on sort of your key area of business expertise outside of growing businesses and franchises. And that is, property management, investment real estate. We have a lot of listeners that are typical listeners, a business owner or like a high performing professional that's spinning off cash and they're looking to invest it in real estate, and they're doing a lot of that. And so I want to hear from you, a guy who's not only on the leading edge. You're not just a property manager, but you have property manager franchise owners throughout the nation that you get feedback and back and forth and information from. So you have a really unique perspective, I think, in the space. So I really just kind of want to start out with that, and then hopefully, if we have time, dive into the theme that everybody's talking about today is AI and how the AI magic silver bullet is impacting, your business and the feedback you're getting. And if it truly is, just if you can just, form the right prompt, you sit back and the money just rolls in, or there's more to it than maybe all the hype that's out there. So welcome today, Nate. And man, if you just want to kind of jump into the rental market, what you're seeing, I'd love to hear your perspective on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's great to be here, and I hope that what I have to share adds some value to your listeners, and it's certainly great to be on. And when we think about and we talk about the rental market today, it's kind of a story that you got to go back right now about 4 years to really understand how we got to today. And when we look back, 2020, 2022, we saw just significant growth in both home and rent prices, right? There's a lot of demand, almost turned into some degree. I'm sure you saw this, almost some panic and pandemonium in different parts of the country as they're looking to take advantage of low interest rates. And I think that the way that impacted the rental market was also just a drive in demand overall. We've had a housing shortage for a long time, but through this period, in fact, in 2019, the shortage was estimated about 3.8 million homes. Today, we're closer to 6 million homes. So we've got demand there even still, but through this rent increase and price increase, we just saw an interesting time in the market over the last, again, more 2020 through 2022. But then things started to change, right? We started to see interest rates increasing, especially last year. and the impact that that's had on people's ability to afford homes to buy really changed. And it started to make it so a lot of people that would have bought or wanted to buy started shifting into choosing to rent or not being able to buy.
Mm.
There is some generational, I think, nuances to what's happening too, right? I think there's a lot of people that are, that necessarily, they wouldn't necessarily be disqualified from buying, but they're choosing to rent because they've seen some of the challenges that people have faced through foreclosures in the 2009 2010 timeframe, or even just the burden now that a lot of people are saying of home ownership, having to deal with maintenance and all those sort of things. And it's kind of interesting, Paul. We have residents that are renting homes from us in different parts of the country. They choose to rent, but they actually own rental properties themselves. And so they're kind of clients and renters, but they just say, you know what, we want the property manager to take care of our repairs. And then we just want our property manager on the other side to take care of repairs that, the rent's paying for. Kind of an interesting demographic and a scenario that we have happening right now. But as we fast forward to today, after a lot of markets through that time frame experienced 10 to 30% rent increases annually, today that's slowed down a lot. And I think it's slowed down for a number of reasons. One, it's becoming a little bit more affordable for people to buy. It's becoming more of the new norm, that interest rates are 6-7%. And today we are looking at the rates, and they're about 6.8% for fixed rate mortgage. In different parts. You may have some insight on that, I'm sure. But it's a little bit easier for people to stomach buying a house, and so we're seeing a surge in a rise and an increase in home sales. So that's helping to level things out a little bit more. Also, a lot of people are moving out of more of the metro areas into suburbs, and so we're seeing apartment values really taking, I wouldn't say a dive, but they're softening a lot faster than they are in single family homes. We're seeing that some areas that really increased quickly in 2021, 2022 the rents are starting to go down. For example, Austin, Chicago, Denver, Miami, some of these areas where rents really increased a lot. And we actually called that increase, we call it the rent premium timeframe, that 2021 through early 2023, these investors were getting a rent premium. And unfortunately, a lot of them thought that was the new normal, that they'd be getting these high rent renewal rates, but It just wasn't the case. And so now we're getting back to more reality where rents are starting to go down in these areas. And we have to be on the forefront with our clients and investors, helping them understand that, this was a bonus, and now we got to get them back down to where we can have days on market still stay at a reasonable level. A lot of renters are saying, they're putting their hands up in the air, saying, we're done with these sort of rent increases, and so they're choosing not to rent, and so we're seeing days on market increase, which is forcing rents down in some of these areas. But the interesting thing too, Paul, is that the softening in the decline in multifamily is just far outpacing single family. In our business, we focus on single family rentals. One interesting kind of thing, there's about 80 million single family homes, owner occupied, renter occupied in the country. About 28 million of those are rentals. 91% of those rentals are owned by individuals. Okay, just people like you and me, simple LLCs. These are not the large corporations, conglomerates, TICs that are owning these rentals. 91%. When we think about these rentals, so we choose to focus on that, what we call the big blue ocean, single family rentals. And the rental rates for single family continues to be strong and actually increasing overall. But it's more normal sort of increase in rents that we're seeing nationwide, more like 2.5% to 5% in most areas
Mm,
over the last
yeah.
18 months, rather than, again, 5 to 35 in a lot of areas. And so we're seeing that single family rentals is strong. Our investors are loving it. I think that they're validated for choosing single family for the most part over multifamily, and it's a great time to buy because again, there's more homes going on the market. We're seeing a little bit more supply than we were in the past, and we're seeing that rates are a little bit more reasonable. And a lot of people that are selling are able to sell with a loan that can be assumed at a low rate. So
Hmm.
we're seeing that some of those are being assumed, but then also we're having a lot of people that are converting their homes into rentals that normally would have been sold just because they got their money into, they got their equity really high from the increases over the last few years,
Hmm.
and they want to keep that low interest rate. And so a lot more inventory coming in, a lot more renter demand from what's been happening, and it's an interesting time. I'll keep it there. See if you have any follow up questions for me.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not completely surprising, right? That these big metro areas that like Austin, Chicago, Denver, and Miami that you talk about, Phoenix is probably another one that just,
Hmm.
I mean, they just ride this roller coaster, and it seems like not only rental rates but housing values and things like that. I mean, they're the first ones to jump for joy when the markets are going up, but they're the first ones to be all depressed when it turns the other way because the swings are so wide in those areas and pretty unrealistic. um, someone said there's a guy, I think his name is Jason Hartman. He's a big advocate for buying rentals, and he calls it I think I'm paraphrasing. It's the sort of the boring everywhere else, the rest of the boring country, where it doesn't go too high or too low. It's just kind of steady growth, and it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice though, since we went through that ride of the early, you know, 2020, 21 to 22, and then sort of a regression back to the mean and some normalcy here. Because I think 23 seemed like it was a little crazy still, people adjusting. It sounds like to me what you're telling me is that people have sort of adjusted to the fact that, okay, we might buy if it makes sense because rates aren't, they're more normal than they, last 2 or 3 years wasn't normal. 2-3% wasn't normal, but 6-7% is kind of the expectation. What I want to talk about, as we alluded to a little bit in the opening, is the idea of technology and AI, and
Hmm.
how AI is, the buzzword everywhere, obviously the magic bullet. And, you and I have both been around the block long enough in business to know that there is no one single magic bullet in business, right? And so a lot of hype out there, a lot of 22-year-olds that are promoting, how to get rich quick and make millions with AI, that still live in mom and dad's basement. So what I want to know is, from you, in your unique perspective, how do you think AI is going to impact the property management world, the investor world, and then, as specific as you'd like to get, how are you guys approaching AI and maybe using it, or strategizing around it to advance your business?
Yeah, fun topic. And I think, it's interesting, Paul, like you said, buzzword. I mean, it seems like every conference I've been going to, whether it's a franchise focused conference or industry, real estate, there's always one or two sessions on AI, and there's always some expert or there's a panel of people talking about, um, and they're always the most packed sessions, right? And I think it's because people, we want to solve problems that we have in our businesses. We want to solve problems for people faster, easier. We want time. And I think when we think about implementing and using AI in our businesses or in our lives even, we do need to focus on the problems. What are we trying to solve? Because I think sometimes there's too much emphasis on just doing it to do it, and have AI and try to use it for whatever we can. But we got to remember why we're using it and what we're really trying to solve with it. And sometimes it does make sense to have some experts, you know, help us identify some things that it could solve for us, because we may not even know, right? So I've learned a lot by going and attending some of those sessions, and just, things I just never even thought we could use AI for. We can. The other thing I want to mention is that I really feel like this period of time right now is the quiet before the storm in AI. I think that since the release and launch of OpenAI,
Mhm.
ChatGPT, some of these systems that have come out just over the last 12, 18 months, I think there's a lot of tech companies and groups that are developing right now, and they're just waiting to launch. We're starting to see some launch in different things. Discord, Midjourney, some of those
Mhm.
platforms, even some video AI platforms are starting to get released. But I think there's some significant innovations and new new business ways of living, ways of thinking, ways of approaching life and business, and that will be coming out of this over the next, I don't know, 12, 24, 48 months, give it, the next several years. And it'll be really exciting to see what we can do, and what we're able to accomplish with AI. Of course, I was even at a round table a couple of months ago at one of our conferences, where we had there was about 7 or 8 of us, and one of the guys was a tech guy, and he's kind of a skeptic, and he's a little bit of a doomsdayer, and and I think he has some valid points, just in terms of how far are we going to take AI? Is it going to become one of these self-learning models that realizes they don't need humans? I
Yeah.
I have a hard time seeing that, but gosh, if we continue down this path and we don't have safeguards and things like that, it'll be interesting. Is all I'm saying. I'm not saying that to try to spread doomsday or philosophy. It's a fun time in business. It's a fun time in life, and we've got to be smart about it. We've got to think about the problems that we're trying to solve. And so that's what I've done with our team and our franchisees. We've tried to look and identify what are some of the main pain points that we have. One of those is time, right? We want to accomplish more with less. And so we have used, and we've implemented into our SOPs, into our standard processes, some elements of OpenAI and ChatGPT. We also use it for data analysis.
Mm.
It's one thing that we've really enjoyed with ChatGPT 4.0, is being able to have it evaluate and analyze spreadsheets for us, and tell us, what are the trends here? What should I be looking for?
Mm.
What does this
Yeah.
mean? And it's amazing how intuitive it can give insight to different things, as well as reading PDFs. We have, as a franchise, an FDD, franchise agreements, and they're long, lengthy documents, and you can have it, go through and point out some things, or, hey, where's this found, or what do I need to, uh, find some of the inconsistencies, and it will do a lot of those sort of things that normally would take hours of labor time to go through and do those sort of things. Um, of course, there's image creation through Dolly, which is a plugin for ChatGPT, and Discord can do really impressive images that, for those that are launching ad campaigns, and you want to have copyright free images that look, and you got to know how to use it too, right? You've got to be able to put in the right prompts, such as
Right.
photorealistic images, 4K. Use some of these terminology to give it the right inputs to give you the right output. But those sort of things our marketing teams are using to create content, written professional writing that normally you'd have an ad agency write for you, can be
Hmm.
done through these systems. And as long as you're giving it the right inputs, it can give you incredible outputs. Um, we also use it on the customer facing side. So the other thing that I think has been a problem for us that we've been trying to solve through AI is giving information to the right people quickly. So we think about our customers and our clients that are wanting information. We talk about the public. We talk about franchise owners. We talk about team members. They all need information. For example, how do I do this? A franchise owner might, you know, how do I handle this situation?
Hmm.
Well, we've got SOPs, we've got manuals, we've got this sort of stuff. But one of the things we're working on is getting that all into a database that can be used by AI to find those sort of solutions or areas of handbooks and manuals and provide it instantly with relevant videos, with relevant links to team members, to franchise owners. We're not quite there yet, but it's something that we're working on. Um, Now, on our websites, customer facing websites, we have our chatbot that's actually dialed in with OpenAI. And so when someone's chatting there, they can ask any question relevant to our websites and the content. And we have some guardrails that it knows the brand, it knows the website, it knows the information it can answer questions on. And it will
Hmm.
give pricing, it will schedule appointments, it will do all of these things when people want it, right? They want to know, how much can my house rent for? Well, they can
Mm.
ask that right on our website, and it will
Yeah.
give them rent quotes. It will give them highs and lows and averages and comps and those sort of things that people don't want to have to wait, you know, 24, 48 hours for someone to get back to them. They want it then.
Right.
They're thinking about it. And that sort of giving people information now, that's checking boxes for them that hopefully will turn them into an engaged client, right? And someone that says, okay, this is really cool. Let me continue forward and have those conversations. And we're seeing those kind of results. So I think getting information now in a now based society that we live in is something that AI can do for us, because usually it takes a long time to find information, wait for people to connect and all that sort of thing. We can skip past all of that with AI, which is really exciting.
That is fascinating, and those examples, I love your perspective on being very specific on what are our pain points right now. I mean, where are we struggling? Instead of trying to like throw AI at the wall and see what sticks, it's like, okay, we've got we struggle. Here's our constraints X, Y, and Z. We look at consistent issues that keep coming up, right? And how can we use this tool, which I agree is can be magnificent if it's deployed correctly, to solve some of the things. So here's a question for you: if you can if you can use AI effectively to sort of grease those wheels and improve your efficiency and the customer experience in this case with website, because gosh, who wouldn't want to go on a Sunday afternoon and plug in how much my house is going to could it rent for, and knowing instead of having to wait till Monday for that information. That's amazing. But what from a business standpoint, what don't you think it'll do? I mean, what are the limitations in terms of, because we add value, right? I'm not one of those. I'm not one of those doomsdayers that thinks it's going to take over the world, because I think we're given a spirit and a soul that has creativity, and I'm not saying that AI can't develop creativity, can't learn, but not to the level that we have as humans. So what is the what is the piece that it's going to become more important, I think, I guess I'll say, as technology develops and automates and improves some of the dumb things that we had to do before that were just, you got to do, right? But um
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
where are we going to go? What's left for us, right? How can we take advantage of this and capitalize on it?
Well, one of the things that we're seeing is that, um, even our property management software is they're starting to layer in more AI to help make it easier for the person on the other end to see and get the information. Even like our tenants that submit work orders online, if they have a repair they need, they'll submit that, and the AI will instantly give recommendations of, hey, did you already try, flipping the switch here, or turning off the breaker, or changing the batteries in the thermostat? So AI is helping to, reduce the amount of interaction and time required. But I think that there's still, from a consumer standpoint, for normal people and business owners like us, you got to have a person that's putting in the inputs into the
Mhm.
AI, generative AI system. Now you can create integrations that, okay, the input into this system will come from this software when this triggers it, but there's still someone that needs to be monitoring it, overseeing it. But the big thing is, like, people people want to work with people, right? and and property
Mhm.
management, our business, and real estate businesses, it's a relationship driven business.
Mm.
Now, we can leverage AI to make our jobs easier, to make it so we don't have to spend 2 hours doing something that now we can do in 30 seconds. But at the end of the day, in fact, there are companies in our industry that are centralizing more of their operations, they're automating more of their operations, and they're struggling to retain clients because they're getting rid of people.
Yeah.
And the investors, the owners, want to be working with people to a large degree when it comes
Yeah.
to important investments and important advice they're trying to get. And I think that's something that will never be replaced. Now, I say
Mm.
never, but I mean, you think about, what Elon Musk is doing with AI, and what, even Tesla and self-automating cars, self-driving cars, and those things that really don't need people. In fact, I saw my first, I don't know if you've seen this, Paul, but in Phoenix, they have kind of like an Uber. It's a taxi system, and there's no driver in the car. Have you seen that?
No, I have not.
There's no driver in the car. So you order your taxi right on your phone. The
Yeah.
car pulls up. It's got 100 cameras all around it, right, for spatial
Mm.
awareness and everything like
Yeah.
that. And you get in the back seat. There's no person driving the car, and they are they are accurate. They are safe. You know, it's an incredible experience, and they're not allowed on the freeways yet. That's something that,
Yeah.
the city is not allowing at this point. But you think about the future and where we could go with that, right?
Mm.
So if there can be self-driving cars that remove the requirement for a human being to be in the car driving it, then what else can we do, right? Or is there going to be self-cleaning homes? Is there going to be,
Mm.
lawnmowers? In fact, I've already seen some of this where the lawnmower, kind of like a Roomba vacuum, will just start mowing your grass, right?
Yeah.
But at the
Mhm.
end of the day, there's people that are pointing those in the right direction, and they're leveraging that to save them time or make things easier for them. And I think people still will want to work with people when it comes to making business decisions, and knowing that there's integrity and transparency that's backing that sort of
Mhm.
technology.
No, that's a good point. Integrity, and there's somebody that you could look in the eyeballs on. I mean, we're not talking about buying a hamburger, right? We're talking about, somebody to manage your investments, and to handle your clients, and this is much more important. I mean, I ranted, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago on about how, when I go to the grocery store, I always want to go where there's somebody that's going to physically check me out. I really refuse to use the self checkout, because I want the human experience. And I just, now I don't want to stand in a bunch of lines, but ironically, where I go, there's hardly ever any lines because everyone's gone to the self checkout, and there's a young teenager standing behind the counter, just, on her phone, and So my wife and I will roll into that line and we have some pleasant conversation. And, it's like, I love that. But so I think that, I mean, along what you're talking about, by bringing in automation and eliminating a lot of the more mundane activities, maybe Nate, it's going to free us up to maybe not go down to 10 and 20-hour work weeks per se, but maybe it's going to allow us the opportunity to do higher level tasks, right? To be more creative, to be more thinking,
Absolutely.
to be more, we're created to be creative, right? And if you're, I say this all the time in business, if you're in the business, you're not working on the business. And if you're in the business, you're just operational. But if you can work on the business, now you could do something great, because you can grow this thing and dream about where you want it to go and whatnot. And so maybe it'll just unleash a whole new wave, maybe a renaissance, right, of creativity for people that choose to embrace it.
Absolutely. One, and I think it allows us to do some of the things that continue to move us forward and make progress where oftentimes we wouldn't have the time. For example, we're working on and building out, in a lot of it is AI driven, a system that finds and evaluates off market deals and properties for our investors and plugs it into a marketplace that investors
Mm.
can look at, and they can start shopping for their properties within our system. Well, without the technology, without some of the AI that does a lot of the back end work, we wouldn't have this, right? We'd be
Mm.
stuck. It would require people to do a lot of that work, and because of it being so cost prohibitive, we just wouldn't have a program like that. So it allows us to do more to solve other problems, which for us has
Mm-hmm.
been door acquisition, growing portfolios for people. Um,
Right.
we want to solve for that. And so I think it allows us to think bigger and different and higher level, as you said, Paul.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's exciting. Well, Nate, this has been great, man. I know I've cornered your time quite a bit today. I know you've got other things on the agenda than sharing your wisdom experiences, but I think this is truly helpful, just a perspective of what's going on in that space, how you guys are using AI and sort of the future. And I think it sounds like to me that you're pretty optimistic about where things are and where we're going and the opportunity ahead.
It's a good time to be alive, Paul. I think there's a lot of opportunity around us in our industry and real estate. There's good things happening. Property management, owning rentals has always been tried and true, and property management is that business that just focuses on a need, right? Which is second to water, air, food. People need to have a place to live, and I think real estate's just a wonderful place to invest and have a business based on. And so the future's bright. It'll be interesting to take a ride with you someday in a self-driving car, Paul. We'll have to do that, and really enjoyed being with you today. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, absolutely, Nate. Me too. Thanks for taking your time and sharing, and have an amazing rest of your day today. Thank
All
you.
right, you too, my friend.
Hey, gang, just winding down here today. Thanks for listening to the show. And as always, if you need capital to grow your business, you're looking to purchase commercial real estate, or build a building, or invest in commercial real estate, or you're looking to acquire a business, or a competitor, or just need growth capital, we'd love to talk to you. We fund businesses all day long. Our mission is to help entrepreneurs win and to fund their businesses and fund their dreams so that they can make an impact in their community. Reach out to me today. Go to our website, click the button to schedule a 20-minute conversation, discovery call. We'll have a quick conversation, see if there's a need, see if there's a fit, and we can take it from there. The website is VPC, Victor Paul Charlie .capital. That's VPC .capital. All right, there's no .com on that. It's VPC .capital. As always, keep crushing it and hope to see you soon around here. Take care.